Jonathan Green, Black Beauty, Solar Green, Texas Bluegrass. That's what we're doing this year. Solar Green, Texas Bluegrass. Can't find anything on YouTube about Texas Bluegrass. We'll see if it sprouts and pouts like Kentucky Bluegrass. Stand by. September the 11th, 2021. It's time to start a new lawn experiment. And as you can see, I've got it scraped down to bare nothing. I was going to try some triple threat, but I don't know. It seemed to me like the price went up recently since the last time I checked it, and the shipping would be atrocious. So I just went ahead and went with some Jonathan Green Black Beauty. I've tried that a couple of years ago and was really happy. Even though it did not last a full year, I think I had some fungus that attributed the failure. Let me show you what I'm using this year. This is the Jonathan Green Black Beauty Solar Green. This is a heat-tolerant Texas Bluegrass. And you can see this little chart here. This stuff takes you all the way down to South Carolina and the upper half of Georgia and Alabama. So even though it is a cool season grass, supposedly it's very heat tolerant for my area here in North Carolina. This is a 7-pound bag. That was the biggest bag I could find. It says it treats 3,500 square feet, but you know how that goes. If you're doing a new yard, you can pretty much cut that figure in half. So I bought 4 bags of this stuff, and so far I've been able to seed a little over 6,000 square feet. So I went ahead and ordered a couple more bags to take care of some of the outlying areas. A few weeks ago I went to Walmart and got some real cheap 10-10-10 fertilizer. Usually in August they put everything on sale over there in their outdoor section. They're getting ready for Halloween and Christmas pretty soon. So a few weeks ago I put that on, and I guess I used about a half bag for about 5,000 or 6,000 square feet. By now you should know how much I love a Sunjoe. I mean, this is probably the best piece of equipment I ever bought. But you have an adjustment here that, you know, you can either dethatch or scarify. And when I'm planting seed, I like to scarify it, sort of like slit seeding. But look at this. When you have a yard that was recently core aerated and you dethatched it, you can have more than a 1/4 inch of gunk built up on your tires. Look at that. That is more than a 1/4 inch. That's probably 3/8 of an inch. And holy smokes, even when you've got this thing adjusted as far down as it's supposed to go, you may not be digging a furrow. So I'm up here on the drier part of my yard today, but I had a mess down there where it was still kind of wet. I couldn't figure out what was going on at first, and now I see that my tires are so covered up with junk that it actually raises the Sunjoe up off the ground a little higher. Just want to let you know that if you're in a yucky yard and you find out it's not going, it may not be the blades that are wore out. It might just be the tires that are gunked up. I did not make a video of me spreading the seed out or the starter fertilizer. That's a no-brainer. Plus I've got videos of how I do it. I use the Scotch spreader. I'll show it to you right here. I've got the Scotch Turf Builder Edge Guard DLX. I reckon that stands for Deluxe. And it doesn't matter how much gunk I got on the wheels, it's still going to work. However, in addition to me putting down the seed, I also used a starter fertilizer. Let me go over here to my fertilizer car and show you what that looks like. I got 3 bags of the 10-10-10 that I put down a few weeks ago. I still have plenty left over that I'll be using in the upcoming year. But today, I put this Groundwork starter fertilizer. You can get that at Tractor Supply. It is 18, 24, and 6, and it's designed for fertilizing new lawns. I don't know how big this bag is. I'm guessing 40 or 50. Oh, it's 50 pounds, and it does 15,000 square feet. I still have some left. So far, what I'm showing you is that I've already got my seed down and my starter fertilizer. I've already used my Sun Joe to dethatch this before I laid the seed down, and now I'm going to use the Scarification blade to cut little rows in it. I'm going to go east-west and then north-south, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do after that. That'll pretty much cover up my seed. After I've got my seed and fertilizer down, and I've scarified, 2 directions, that accomplishes the same thing as slit seeding. I'm going to use some of this Greenway Seeding Success. This says covers up to 760 square feet. I think it covers a whole lot more than that. Let me show you what this stuff is. This is something, a seed covering that you would put on after you've sown your yard, and it's pretty firm. I mean, it's the sort of thing that you could put in your spreader. It's about the size of fine fertilizer, maybe even smaller than a lot of fertilizer. It's kind of hard. Once it gets wet, it swells up. So with this stuff, you put it on, and then you water your yard, and it swells up about 3 times its normal size. And it is biodegradable. Let me show you a problem I had putting it down though. The instructions on the bag says to not overfill your hopper on your spreader. Well, of course, I thought the stuff was pretty lightweight. I filled this thing up to the top. But what happens is that when you're pushing it and your little agitator goes round, because these particles are not round, they're all different shapes, you can end up getting a cavity in there, and you got this big mound of stuff, and all you know is that, hey, it's not throwing out anything. So I'd say fill this about half full, and that way, as you're putting it out, you'll see the little volcano type swirl there as it's going down. And so every once in a while you may just have to shake it like that to kind of get your stuff back where it belongs. Don't overfill it. That's what the bag says to do, and I thought it was a stupid tip, but I overfilled it and it didn't work right. After that, I started filling up about halfway, and it worked great. The bag also says to set your spreader at its highest setting. Don't just take that for granted with your spreader, especially if you've had it a few years. My spreader, when I put it on 15, that's the highest number, it will not open. If I put this on 15, you think it's open, but if you've already got your stuff in there, you think, okay, I'm ready to go, and nothing's going to come out. So you might have that problem with yours. I go down to 14, and it opens really wide. So the highest setting may not be the right setting. Check your spreader before you add anything to it. make sure that little door is opening up pretty wide. Okay, coming right along with my project. I've got about 1,500, maybe 2,000 square feet left to do. So really all I have to do here is scarify this. That will get my seed covered up, and then throw out that that crazy stuff that will take the place of peat moss or wheat straw. And it'll swell up and it'll look like this. You see that I just lightly watered this area, and those little pellets have really perked right up. So I like the fact that it's not dirty like peat moss. Every time I use peat moss, I come out nastier than a chimney sweep. I put hay down, wheat straw down, and end up with weeds. And you know, I don't really feel like peat moss and wheat straw is worth the money you have to pay for it, especially when you think about how much trouble it is to put that stuff down. But the seeding success, oh man, it's just as easy as putting fertilizer out or sowing seeds. I guess you could just put it in a bucket and sling it out like you were feeding the chickens, but I just put it in my hopper and take my spreader and go east, west, north, south, just as if I was doing any other product. Turn on my sprinkler and bingo, pops up with these little balls that are now soft. They feel like a sponge. Well, here's some I spilled. You can see the difference between the ones that's been wet and these are dry. So that's the name of that tune. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed, and in a few weeks hopefully we'll have some good germination, and I'll come back and give you an update on how this Jonathan Green product is doing this year. It says it's supposed to grow good in the shade. That's what I need. I got shade everywhere. Well, I appreciate you watching.